Hey everybody, welcome back to Derby Talk, episode number 11. Tommy D, Johnny Lowe. We're on the Derby Trail, and man, we got a quick little recap, and we got three big races we're going to feature this week. The UAE Derby, the Jeff Ruby Stakes, and the Florida Derby. So we're going to be covering it all here today on the Hip Horse. Johnny, my man, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. The races are stretching out. The points are getting bigger. We're getting closer to the end of the prep races, and we're truly getting ready for the Kentucky Derby this year. I could smell it. It's only weeks away at this point.
Yeah, Johnny. Actually, I believe it's 5 weeks to be exact. This was a big prep race. A lot of trainers think this is the sweet spot, 5 to 4 weeks for the Derby. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but the 100-point races, you're automatically getting in, and if you're second, you got a good chance to get in too.
Well, speaking of which, last week, we talked about the Louisiana Derby, and just to recap that, Hot Rod Charlie was the winner of the Louisiana Derby, and in our video we mentioned how smart of a move it was for O'Neill to send him out there for that race. The competition was fairly strong, but he overcame it. Midnight Bourbon, our pick, ran a nice second place, getting 40 points. Those two horses are definitely going to be in the race. We'll see if Proxy gets in. He's got 36. He might need another race or maybe another scratch from a horse that has some hefty points. But man, for Hot Rod Charlie to win that race, that was huge for his connection. So smart to send him out there, and he's got plenty of time now to get a game plan and get ready for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, and O'Neill's done it a couple times before, winning the Derby, and we know he could get it done, Johnny. So smart move, Hot Rod Charlie moving up on the list there, Johnny. Impressive. Your thoughts about Mandaloun? I know it was the favorite in the race. A lot of people had high hopes. Your thoughts on the performance there? I know it didn't need the race, but was that a worrisome for you?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I didn't think him or Proxy would like the distance, the added distance. That was my niche on, nick on them going into it. But I didn't think he was going to run that bad. So obviously something didn't fire that day. Maybe the barn's going to have to take a look. But Brad Cox has runners and he makes them run. So I'm sure that by Derby Day, if he's still in the picture, if he is sound, that something's probably going to change. I have a feeling he'll run a little better there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm going to get him tuned up before the big race here. That's what we're recapping the Louisiana Derby, which happened last week. But let's get to this week, Johnny. We got 3 big races, 100-point races. All are going to get you into the Derby. Let's start with the UAE Derby. This is 100 points. Big ship factor here. You got to go out there, and then you're going to be shipping back to run in the Derby. But let's get to it. Let's take a look at the UAE Derby, Johnny.
Yeah, so the UAE Derby this year is going to have 14 horses involved in this race. 2 of them are going to be fillies. Usually I think the hiccup on this is, other than the ship, usually the horses, people are afraid to send them out there because they have to run off Lasix. Well, this year everybody's running off of Lasix, so if I've got a horse and they invite me to run out there for the giant purse that they have out there, I might take the chance. And Doug O'Neill, being the smart man that he is the only one that I've seen that's going to take the chance and send a horse out there. The one horse El Patriota is really, really inbred to the Stormcat line. The grandfather on both sides is Stormcat, so it's kind of a bricks and mortar build. He was a really, really good horse on the turf, but I guess they're going to give him a shot in this race. The 2-horse Ambivalent is by Constitution. He's out of Scroogey by Smart Strike. That's going to be O'Neill's horse that he's sending out there. Obviously, the horse has been running on the turf and the dirt here. I think they're just kind of throwing a dart, seeing if they can get those points running against these European horses. We've got Fire Group, who's by Not This Time. Not This Time you're thinking of. This is the Great Britain, Not This Time. He's by Pick and Pray out of Song and a Prayer. Not too bad of a pedigree there. The 4 France Go de Ina is by Will Take Charge out of Dreaming Blues by Curlin. A little too much speed and breeding for me on that one. I think I'll pass. Lugamo, the 5, is by Cheetu. Cheetu was a horse Baffert had who had ample amounts of speed, and he had a really muscular build. I'd imagine this horse is kind of the same way build-wise. He's out of Service Stripe, or I'm sorry, she goes to 11, who's by Service Stripe, who's by Deputy Minister, so there's a little bit of stamina on the bottom side. The 6, Mauhib, is by Flatter, out of Shenani's Song, who's by Eltish. This is the Royal Charger line. The 7 is New Treasure by New Approach. New Approach is the Galileo line. Galileo is the big turf line out in the Sadler's Wells, Galileo, the big turf line in Europe. He's out of Mount Each, who's by Congaree. Congaree is by Arazi. Arazi was a horse that made this incredible move in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile a while back. Some people might remember that. The 8 is Panadol by Flatter, out of Aradel, who's by Dixieland Band. We've got the 9, Pink Kamehameha, who's by Leontes, who's the King Mambo line. That horse is out of Tabitha Tosho, who's by Dancing Brave. This is the Northern Dancer line. This horse is probably familiar because he won the prep race in the Saudi Cup Day to get here. Rebel's Romance is by Dubawi, who's out of Mini Dress by Street Cry. A little bit too much inbreeding for me on that one, but I think the horse might have a chance to get the 2 turns in a race like this. Spites Per Comet is by Spitestown, out of Perfect Le Comet. Who's by Perfect Soul. This horse ran a pretty good race last time out. I think the stretch out might be a little bit tough, but we'll see. And then you have the 12 Takaru Pegasus, who's by Dunkirk. Who's by Unbridled Song. Out of Hishi Alcor, who's by Daiwa. It's the Daiwa Major, who's the Sunday Silence line. This horse might have the breeding to do it. I'm not really positive yet if it has the talent, but definitely has the breeding to go the distance. And then we have the 2 fillies, Manasek by Empire Maker. She's out of Washington Bridge, who's by Yankee Gentleman. This would be a really, really good pedigree for me if it was a colt. We've got Soft Whisper to round out the field. Soft Whisper is by Dubawi, who's a superstar out in Europe. She's out of Placidian, and who's by See the Stars. That's a stamina line on bottom. I'd like to see a little more stamina on top for the fillies, though.
Yeah, taking a look at this, Johnny, you went through all 14 horses here real quick. I'm kind of curious to see who you like here. You got 8 U.S. spread horses, 1 Uruguay, 3 Irish horses, and 2 Japanese. I'm gonna lean on you on this one, Johnny. The UAE Derby. Could you give us a couple horses that you like? I know you talked O'Neill. He got the ship done last week. Can you do it again this week, Johnny? Give us a couple horses to play here.
O'Neill is just reading my mind. Like, O'Neill, send Hot Rod Charlie to Louisiana. That's a good move. Send Ambivalent out to the UAE Derby. That's a good move. Then he's going to have another good move in the next race we're going to talk about, which the guy's pulling the right strings right now. But my top horses here, I'm going to go with Pink Kamehameha is my horse on top. Ambivalent, his horse, I'm going to have him underneath. And then for third, I like Panadol. And then there's a couple horses underneath that could be long shots, like New Treasure and Rebel's Romance, who I wouldn't throw out. And if you get good enough odds on the fillies, maybe on the bottom side of a superfecta, see if you can sneak them in there.
Well, hey, there you go. A little quick rundown of the UAE Derby. This will get him into the Kentucky Derby. Got some points going. 100 points here. Big race. 1 mile and 3/16. Johnny, the ship factor is going to play something in there. Your man O'Neill, you said. But let's move on to the next race we're talking about. All right, Johnny, let's get to the Jeff Ruby Stakes here. Big race, 100 points, Turfway Park. Oh, man, we got a big field here on the synthetic, Johnny. I don't know which way to go here. I know you're a pedigree guy, so let's take a look at the field here. Anything you want to say before we get going here?
Yeah, the thing about the synthetic is it does play a little bit different than the dirt. Horses with turf breeding might like it a little more. It's softer. There's not as much kickback. It's one of those things where stamina lines play a little bit bigger. They play a little bit more importance than just having the speed on top of the stamina and trying to wire the field. I think there's going to be a couple connections out there that find that maybe they should have ran their horse in this race instead of tried the Santa Anita Derby or the Arkansas Derby that have closer turf synthetic type breeding, but Doug O'Neill, the man of the day, the Mr. Louisiana Derby, Mr. Gonna get that UAE Derby, he made a smart play in this race and sent a horse out, so I give you props on that one.
Hey, Doug O'Neill, finding the right spots, and that's what horse racing is about, finding and picking, choosing the right spots. You know, like you said, the Jeff Ruby here is a, stepping stone. You're in if you win it into the Kentucky Derby. Maybe the 250,000 shying a couple people away. Some other bigger stakes. Florida Derby is a $1 million purse, so maybe in some of these other races a little bit more money in there. But Johnny, let's take a look at the field. Let's get to number 1, Like the King. It's trained by Wesley Ward. DVD gets aboard. It was closing last time, but lost to number 2, Hush of a Storm last time. What's your take on number 1 here?
Yeah, so Like the King is by Palace Malice, who's by Curlin. He's got a really good pedigree as a stallion. He just hasn't really lived up to it yet. They're kind of looking for that breakout superstar from him. This horse is out of Like a Queen, who's by Corinthian, who's by AP Indy. It's a nice cross for me with the speed and stamina. Like you said, he ran second last time out in the John Battaglia Memorial. He ran close up to the pace, though, and I think this race has a lot of speed, so that might work against him.
Yeah, Johnny, I mean, it looks like he likes the track, hometown horse here. The second, number 2, is another hometown horse, Hush of a Storm. Got Maury Gonzalez, 3 for 3 on the Turfway Park. This is definitely the local horse for course, Johnny. Your thoughts on the number 2 horse, Hush of a Storm?
I think Hush of a Storm has a great pedigree for synthetic, being by Creative Cause, who's a Stormcat line, out of Hush Now by Flatter, who's the AP Indy line. It's a really nice cross. He's got stamina on top, and he's got kind of a dirt stamina on the bottom, which for me is something you might need. He's got enough of a turn of foot when they kick for home, and he's got the stamina to get him there. Like you said, being 3 for 3 on the Turfway Park course, obviously he loves the track, and the way the race is setting up for him, I think he's going to be a pretty formidable opponent.
Hey, there we go. That's number 2, Hush of a Storm. All right, and back to number 3, King's Ovation. Johnny, trained by Dale Romans. Jimenez is the trainer. Second at 7 furlongs in the Grade 3 Swale. 2 back. Fountain of the Youth was the last race. Not much there. Needs a big improvement. Your thoughts on number 3, King's Ovation?
Yeah, so King's Ovation's by Not This Time out of Karen Silk, who's by High Cotton. High Cotton's by Dixieland Band. I feel like pedigree-wise, this horse should like the synthetic, and he's definitely going to need to make a huge improvement off his last race where he ran 6th in the Fountain of Youth. 2 of the 3 black on the Femliner black type, which does show me that there is some class on the bottom side, but he's really going to have to make some kind of an improvement, I think, to compete with these horses.
All right, let's move on to number 4, Awesome Jerry. Sadie Joseph Jr. has 2 horses in here. This is one of them by Liam's Map here. Nowhere in its last 2 starts. Tell me your thoughts about number 4, Awesome Jerry.
Yeah, Awesome Jerry is by Liam's Map. He's out of Star of Munster, who's by Tribal Rule. I don't think he's got enough stamina in his pedigree to compete in this race.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to number 5, Sainthood. We got our man Todd Pletcher here. Corrales up, won its maiden. Stretching out last time. Nice works coming in. Your thoughts? Strong connections, Windstar and China Horse Club. Number 5, Sainthood.
Yeah, Sainthood is by Mishawish, who's by Medaglia d'Oro. He's out of Lemon Hero, who's by Lemon Drop Kid. I really, really like the pedigree on this one for the synthetic. And his last win, it was just unbelievably game down at Fairgrounds. I think the synthetic's going to move him up. This horse is going to be one to keep an eye on.
There we go. I like to hear that. Number 6, let's move on to Smiley Sobotniks. Not sure if I'm saying that. Sorry if I'm butchering the name there. Dale Romans is the trainer here. Second in a Grade 2 in the fall at Churchill Downs, so does have some class here. Your thoughts on the 6?
Yeah, Smiley Sobotka is by Brody's Cause, out of Dance the Way You Are, who's by Mineshaft. He was 9th in the Sam F. Davis. He didn't show up. I think one thing is, I think he's going to like the synthetic. He definitely has a synthetic type pedigree, and the way Roman's horses like to come flying from the back of the pack, that could play a part in how he runs this race. I think that's going to help him with the fast pace.
Yeah, Johnny, you might be onto something. This horse did get bet down to 6-1 off the bench last time, so maybe the switch to synthetic could be the play here. Number 7, Tarantino. I like this one back in the mix, back a couple races back. Brissette, Giroux, 4th in the Fountain of Youth after impressive 2nd in the Holy Bull. You said this one going back to turf. This is a synthetic race, Johnny. One on the turf before, strong performance in the Holy Bull. Your thoughts on 7, Tartino?
Tarantino is by Pioneer of the Nile. Pioneer of the Nile is the sire of American Pharaoh as well as Cairo Prince. And American Pharaoh actually broke his maiden in a Grade 1 race on the synthetic.
Yeah.
Cairo Prince's progeny as well as American Pharaoh's progeny have done pretty well on the turf. They've actually preferred the turf over the dirt. This horse is out of Without Delay by Seeking the Gold. Like you said, it was fourth in the Fountain of Youth, and it did have a really rough trip that day. My one real concern here is if the horse wants to go the mile and an eighth. I think there's a lot of speed in the breeding. I don't see a whole lot of stamina. So for me, the horse has the class to hang with this types, but I just don't know if he's going to want the mile and an eighth. So that's going to be my big question.
Hey, well, there we go. That's Tarantino, number 7 we're talking about. Let's move on to number 8, Moonlight Strike here. Sadie Joseph's other contender here. Third in the Tampa Bay Derby last out. That was a Grade 2. Still pressing, adding the distance here. Bullet works. This one looks to be live, Johnny. Your thoughts on Moonlight Strike?
Yeah, so Moonlight Strike is by Liam's Map. He's out of Twinkling by War Chant. I think this horse is a dirt horse. I think he's probably going to struggle a little bit on the synthetic, but you got to give it to Saffy Joseph. He's throwing 2 in here. He's taking a couple shots.
Yep, there we go. Let's move on to number 9, Hard Ride Guy. Ian Wilkes and his man Hernandez aboard here. Third, lost to 3 others last time out here. Number 9, give us your thoughts here.
Hard Ride Guy. He's by Hard Spun out of, my French isn't very good, so excuse me if I pronounce this wrong. La Pomme d'Amour by Flower Owlie. This horse might take to the synthetic. I think that the Hard Spun line is a very versatile line, and he's got that Flower Owlie on bottom. We saw in our top 20 how many horses were distorted humor on the bottom side. Flower Owlie is by distorted humor, so I could see a decent pedigree top and bottom for this race.
Oh yeah, I like it. Here we go. Let's move on to number 10, Gretzky the Great for all those hockey fans. Mark Casse, known for up in Canada, getting the runners. 21% on the synthetic, Johnny, for Mark Casse. We know he's pretty good. Seems to be the class of the field. Off the bench, won a Grade 1 at Woodbine last year on the turf. So number 10, Gretzky the Great. Tell me your thoughts here.
Yeah, so this horse, Gretzky the Great, is by Nyquist. He's out of Pearl Turn by Bernardini. It's pretty nice pedigree for me right there. He tried to wire the field at even money in the John Battaglia, and he just got tired. I think he needed the race. The horse is coming off the layoff since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and I think he's going to improve here. We don't know enough about Nyquist progeny, if they're going to stretch out or what their distance limitations are. So it is kind of a gamble to guess if he's going to want the mile and an eighth, or if he wins this race, want the mile and a quarter. So for me, I'm probably going to have him a little bit underneath, but this is a classy individual, and there's a reason why he was even money last time.
Yeah, Johnny, I agree with you. Gretzky the Great, too. Gotta love the name for all those hockey fans out there. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'm loving these names, Johnny. Number 11, Dynamite. DeSormo training here. Parker aboard. DeSormo, another one, good trainer, 20% on the synthetic, Johnny. So just something I'm throwing out there. Second, just missing last time out on the turf. Your thoughts on number 11, Dynamite?
Yeah, so this horse is by Golden Sense out of Boom Boom Dynamite, who's by Langford. For me, the Into Mischief horses, well, Golden Sense is by Into Mischief, and he's obviously got a bigger field of work than Golden Sense does. And for me, the Into Mischief progeny have been running really good on all the surfaces, dirt, turf, whatever. So I feel like this horse probably would like synthetic, being by those lines. And he's significantly improved since he's switched to the turf. So for me, if he's gotten that much better on the turf, I'm sure the synthetic he'll take to that like a fish. This is a step up for him here compared to the competition that he's had, but I think they have high hopes for him with these connections. Yeah,
Johnny, that's number 11, Dynamite we're talking about. Let's move on to number 12 to round off the field here, and that's Hockey Dad. And you've been talking about Doug O'Neill. Bayerano gets aboard here, won 3 in a row, including winning on dirt and synthetic here, Johnny. Nyquist, like you said, O'Neill did it with Hot Rod Charlie last week, sending to Louisiana, now going to the Jeff Ruby here with Hockey Dad. Talk to us about number 12, Hockey Dad.
Well, Hockey Dad, other than being an amazing name, he is also by Nyquist, just like the other hockey horse in here, Gretzky the Great. He's out of Anna Summers Gold, who's by Yankee Victor. This horse is 3 for 4 lifetime. half sibling to Radish, who had probably the best managed career of any racehorse I've ever seen. 6-figure earner, never won a race. So I think she won like over 250 grand or something crazy. Never even won a race. So for me, this might be another one of those Doug O'Neill really good career managements with Hockey Dad here. I expect the horse to show up. I don't know what the 12 post plays like at Turfway Park, but he's going to be right in the mix.
Yeah, there we go. We ran down all 12 horses here in the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway Park. That's going to be happening this weekend. Johnny, do you have a top three or a couple choices you want to give out as your top picks here?
Yeah, I'm going to put Hockey Dad on top because if I didn't, I would be probably eating my words at some point. The horse underneath I'm going to go with is Saint Hood. I do like that Pletcher horse, and I think he's going to move up on the synthetic. Gretzky the Great and Hush a Storm for me are probably the horses that I'm going to have kind of as a tie for third, and I'm going to look for a little something out of Smiley Sabatka. I think he might be coming home, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did hit the board at some pretty live odds.
All right, there you go. A couple horses for you to pay attention in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. I agree with you, Johnny. I do like Saint Hood myself too. Hockey Dad and Hush of a Storm were the three that I caught as the horses I really liked here. Maybe Tarantino, but it's still a little stuck on that one from a couple races back. But there we go. We're talking the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Should we move on to the next race?
Let's do it.
All right, there we go. We're moving on to the Florida Derby. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, follow us, ring that bell. We are on Derby Talk, episode number 11. If you've been on the journey, we appreciate the support. Throw down in the comments who you like in these races. We're going to start giving giveaways coming soon with some horse racing gear, and we want to know who you pick for the winners. We maybe do some Derby points maybe coming up for the big races, the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, and the Preakness. So make sure you're following us. We're going to be giving away some stuff. All right, let's move on to the Florida Derby. Enough talk, Johnny. The big race. This is the big one of the day, I would say, of the three. A big stepping stone here. Florida Derby, baby, down at Gulfstream Park, 1 mile and an eighth. This is a big stepping stone. 100 points, 750,000 to the winner, Johnny. This is the big one. Let's talk a little bit about it, and then we'll run through the field.
Yeah, so the Florida Derby, obviously, just being a huge feeder into the Kentucky Derby. I guess you could say Maximum Security was the last horse to win the Florida Derby and win the Kentucky Derby. For like 20 minutes he was, you know. And then we've got Always Dreaming and Nyquist.
Hey, we gave that out if you want to go back and check it out.
We did. We were all excited.
Still a little bitter now.
Excited about that one. Orb. So there's been some really nice horses that have won this race really recently. For me this year, this is a really, really big race to figure out. When we do our top 20, you'll see that video here shortly. But in our top 10, there's two horses in here that I really have my eye on that are going to probably break the top 5 after this race. And for me, it's really going to come down to a couple of breeding lines. One of them, I'll give you a hint, the Curlin Florida Derby is going to be one of them, and the other one might be, I don't know, Tap It. So as we go through this list here, you'll be able to figure that out.
All right, Johnny. Well, let's get right to it. The Florida Derby. 20 winners of the Florida Derby have gone on to at least win one race of the Triple Crown. So, like I said, big stepping stone here. Florida Derby. Number 1 is Nova Rags. Tell us about Nova Rags here, Johnny.
Yeah, so Nova Rags is by Union Rags, who's out of Wishful Spender, who's by Smart Strike. Two straight on the fem line are black type broodmares, so that shows a little bit of class on the bottom side.
All right, let's move on to number 2, Quantum Leap. Your thoughts on number 2?
Quantum Leap is by Pioneer of the Nile out of Grand Glory, who's by Distorted Humor. For me, he just is a little bit too inbred to really want the distance.
Well, there we go. Let's move on to number 3, Giraffalis. I'm not sure if I'm saying that again. Once again, I apologize. Maybe you can help me with that. That's the 3 horse, Johnny.
Yeah, so Giraffalis is by Social Inclusion, who's by Pioneer of the Nile. He's out of Grand Pashida, who's by Horse Chestnut. It's a Sadler Wells line. He actually has a decent pedigree. Just kind of struggled his last few races, but.
Well, what do you think? You think it's got a chance here?
Probably not.
Oh, there we go. Let's move on to number 4, Southern Passage.
So Southern Passage is by a Kentucky Derby winner and Super Saver out of Almonduna, I guess is how you would say that, who's by Silver Planet. This is a really unique line. It's an Argentinian broodmare line. It goes back to the Blenheim side, Blenheim, who's Great Britain. This is like old blood. Nothing really in common with any of the other lines in this race. Blenheim did sire Malmund, who kind of changed the way the thoroughbred is today, as well as Whirlaway, who was a Triple Crown winner. It's going to be interesting. I think this horse is a big-time long shot, and it might take a Christmas miracle to get the horse home, but it does have interesting connections on the bloodstock side.
There you go. That's number 4, Southern Passage he's talking about. Number 5, Known Agenda here, is going to be number 5 in the entry for the Florida Derby. What are your thoughts?
So Known Agenda is by Curlin. He's out of Bayrama, who's by Byron. Byron's the Danzig line. For me, that's a really nice cross of the Mr. Prospector over the Danzig, which is speed over stamina. He's 2 of his 3 broodmares are black type, which I like to see that as well. That shows me some class on the bottom. I think this is one of the big contenders.
Yeah, there we go. That's 5, Known Agenda here, and this one did beat Greatest Honor in the maiden special weight in the fall at Aqueduct, Johnny. I know Greatest Honor is a big one. We're going to get to that. Number 6, Sigiloso. Sigiloso is the 6 horse.
Yeah, so Sigiloso is by Kozan, who's by Distorted Humor. Kozan's been doing really, really well in Florida. He's a really good stallion. I don't know if his horses really want to stretch out the mile and an eighth, but I guess we'll find out here. This horse is out of Gina Blue, who's by Bluegrass Cat, so there is stamina on the bottom. I think if there is a horse that might have a chance for Kozan to go out there and show that it could go 2 turns, it would be a pedigree kind of like this one.
Oh, there we go. Let's move on to number 7, Morning Line, 6-5 favorite here. Won the Grade 3 Holy Bull and the Fountain Youth. This is the horse to beat. All eyes on number 7, Greatest Honor, Johnny.
So Greatest Honor is by Tappet, out of Tiffany's Honor, who's by Street Cry. Grandma is Better Than Honor. Better Than Honor dropped Giselle in Rags to Riches. Rags to Riches is most famously known for beating Curlin, the horse that the Florida Derby is named after at this point in the Belmont. Interesting thing about Rags to Riches is it was a filly. So her daughter beat Curlin in a 1.5 mile race.
That was pretty impressive.
That happened.
All right, that's number 7, Greatest Honor. Let's move on to number 8, Soup and Sandwich. Maybe a horse that's getting a little bit of hype coming in. Your thoughts on number 8, Soup and Sandwich?
Yeah, Soup and Sandwich is by Into Mischief, who sired Audible, who won the Florida Derby a few years ago. Soup and Sandwich is out of Super Scooper, who's by Tappet. So, I mean, you've got 2 of the more expensive stallion lines out there right now, and this horse, I guess we're going to see if he's going to be able to make the step up.
Money. Yeah, that's number 8, Soup and Sandwich. Number 9, Collaborate. 90 buyer last time. Had a high figure. Facing winners for the first time here. Your thoughts on number 9, Collaborate?
So Collaborate's by In the Mischief as well. And he's out of Quiet Temper, who's by Quiet American. Quiet American is by Fabiano. It's Mr. Prospector line. I actually prefer Collaborate's pedigree over Soup and Sandwich's pedigree for the 1.1 mile race. I think if I had to choose between the Into Mischiefs, I might Collaborate on that one.
Hey, there we go. No pun intended there, guys. Number 10, Spielberg. We're going to be moving on here. Bob Baffert not usually showing up at the Florida Derby here, Johnny. Sends out Spielberg. Feels coming late to the party, but showing up with a contender here. Tell us your thoughts about number 10, Spielberg.
He's pulling the Doug O'Neill here, trying to send a horse out to a race that he thinks he can snake. Spielberg's by Union Rags, out of Miss Sequel, who's by Smart Strike. Pedigree-wise, doesn't do a whole lot for me. It is the same exact cross as Nova Rags, the one horse. They're both by Union Rags, out of a Smart Strike mare. The one thing that I just haven't really seen are too many of the Union Rags enjoying the stretch out, although Express Train did run a really, really big race. Lost to Idol, who's by Curlin, in the Santa Anita Handicap, but for the most part, these Union Rag horses have been more one-turn, mile style, so I guess if anybody's going to do it, Spielberg coming off that hot run in the Southwest, maybe this is the shot.
Yeah, I don't think Baffert's setting for fun here, guys. So that's number 10, Spielberg. Let's move on to number 11, Papa 2. Third in the Fountain of the Youth. Your thoughts about the 11, Papa 2?
I really like this horse, and I wish it wasn't in the 11 hole. And it's definitely a curse to be that far outside in Gulfstream, especially as short of a distance to the turn as it is. But Papa 2 is by Dialed In. He's out of Lady Malkin, who's by Sharp Humor, who's by Distorted Humor. Gosh, I feel like if this horse was in the 6 or 4 position, somewhere around there, probably would be pretty competitive here.
Hey, there you go. Let's do a quick recap here, Johnny. Let's get your top picks here for the Florida Derby. Let's go for it.
So, usually I give you my top 3. I'm just going to call the field number 3 because I couldn't make my mind up on who's the number 3 horse in here. But I think this race is going to come down to my top pick and the second choice. And last time these horses linked up, I think they were separated by about a head at the wire, and they cleared the field by 22 lengths. I kind of have a feeling something like that might just happen again. My second pick is going to be Greatest Honor. I'm going to try to beat him. I've tried to beat him twice, and I've lost twice.
He's got balls.
But I'm going to try to beat him here. Greatest Honor is going to be number 2. And I'm going to go with Known Agenda on top. The Big Son of Curlin. The only thing I have to say negatively about the horse is he's such a big horse. I feel like he has a little trouble getting out of the gate. But last race, they gave him a little easier competition, put some blinkers on. He won by 11. It looks really good. I think he's ready for this one. So hopefully he gets out of the gate with Irad Ortiz and they just don't look back.
There we go, Johnny. I like it. Greatest Honor, the horse to beat, but we're taking a shot with Known Agenda here. So those are the top 2 here. Giving a top 2 for the Florida Derby. I think it's a 2-horse race, so that's what you're saying, right?
That's what I'm saying.
All right, here we go. Well, that's the rundown. We did 3 races for you. The UAE Derby, the Jeff Ruby Stakes, and the Florida Derby, all part of the Derby Trail. You're on Derby Talk, episode number 11. Johnny, the last thing we'll talk about before we get out of here, there is a futures pool. And then we got a top 20 video coming out for you this weekend again, so stay tuned for that. But let's talk about the futures real quick. Your thoughts on the futures for this weekend?
So I didn't find a whole lot of value in the futures. A couple of the horses that I wish would have been on the list weren't on the list. They had a horse on there, Big Lake, who's actually injured. He's not going to run, so they didn't even have the full choices. I think if you got in with us at 15 to 18 to 1 on Concert Tour and the other ones, if you got in there with us with Midnight Bourbon, you're looking like you might have a couple horses getting in the gate, knock on wood. So let's just stick with what we've got right now and regroup and get ready for the Derby. Yeah,
I like it, Johnny. For the futures, you're just hoping your horse gets in the gate because in the beginning, in those early pools, a lot of them aren't going to make it through. And life is good out of the Derby Trail, gets hurt. So big picture change here. Everyone thinking this is a lock moving forward, Johnny. But find out injuries are part of the game. So the Bluegrass, the Santa Anita Derby, and the Wood Memorial are going to be April 3rd. That will be our next video following our top 20. So this is Derby Talk. Tommy D, Johnny Lowe, we appreciate you. Hit that like, subscribe, follow, ring the bell. We're here for you. Follow us on that Derby Trail, baby. We'll catch you next time.